License and registration? The driver reaches toward the glove box. The officer's flashlight follows the hand. Then everything changes. Hold on, what's that bottle? The driver freezes. It's nothing, just my prescription. The officer leans closer. I also see multiple IDs in here. And why do you have cash wrapped in receipts? Now what started as a routine speeding stop is turning into questions about drugs, fraud, or possible criminal activity. And most people have no idea this can happen before they ever leave the shoulder of the road. So what do? Can police legally look inside your glove box? What counts as plain view? And why do ordinary items suddenly become suspicious during a traffic stop? Every video here could save you from a serious mistake one day. Subscribe now so you don't miss what could protect you. Then share this video and drop your opinion below. I want to hear what you think. Today, we're breaking down the 5 things officers commonly look for during routine stops that can escalate a warning into a full investigation, and the exact words you should use to protect yourself without making the situation worse. Because during a traffic stop, one sentence can help you, and one sentence can bury you. The first thing you need to understand is this. Your glove box is not magically private just because it closes. The moment you open it to grab registration or insurance paperwork, anything visible to the officer may become part of the encounter. That's where people get trapped, not because they committed a serious crime, but because they start talking too much, too fast, trying to explain everything. And every explanation gives the officer more information, more suspicion, or more justification to keep digging. So let's start with the first major risk, prescription bottles. This catches people off guard constantly. You open the glove box and there's an unlabeled bottle, mixed pills, or medication stored somewhere other than the original container. Immediately, the officer may start asking questions. Whose medication is this? Why isn't it labeled? What are these pills? Now, maybe it's completely innocent. Maybe you moved pills into a travel container. But from the officer's perspective, unlabeled medication can raise suspicion about illegal possession, impairment, or narcotics activity. And here's where people make the mistake. They start rambling. No, those are my cousin's pills, but I borrowed them because I had pain last week, and stop. Every extra sentence increases risk. Instead, stay calm and keep your movements slow. If questioned, you can say, "Officer, I do not wish to answer questions without legal counsel." That matters because you are not lying. You are not arguing. You are exercising your right to remain silent. And silence prevents accidental admissions. The second item officers often notice is extra identification. Old driver's licenses, different names, expired IDs, cards belonging to someone else. Sometimes there's an innocent explanation. Sometimes there isn't, but multiple IDs can trigger concerns for fraud, identity theft, fake identification, or outstanding warrants. Watch how quickly this escalates. Why do you have 2 licenses? Oh, that old one? I forgot to throw it away. Who's this other ID for? Now the officer is no longer focused on speeding. Now the encounter is expanding. And people often make another mistake here. They try to joke their way out. Bad idea. Sarcasm and nervous humor can easily be interpreted as evasiveness. Instead, stay direct and minimal. If the officer asks unrelated investigative questions, you can calmly ask, "Am I being detained or am I free to go?" That sentence is powerful because it forces legal clarity. If the traffic stop is complete, the officer may need a lawful reason to continue detaining you. And if you are not free to leave, the officer is now making it clear this is no longer a simple warning stop. The fourth thing officers frequently focus on is receipts, cash, and packaging materials, especially if everything looks disorganized. Large amounts of cash by themselves are not illegal in most situations, but during roadside encounters, officers are trained to look for combinations of things: cash, plastic bags, receipts, burner phones, vacuum-sealed packaging. And once multiple indicators appear together, officers may claim they suspect criminal activity. Again, people talk themselves into trouble here. Look, I just sold something. What did you sell? A watch. To who? What kind of watch? Now you're stuck in a roadside interview. Remember this, you do not win these situations by out-talking the officer. You win by staying calm, polite, and controlled. A better response is, "Officer, I'm complying with your instructions, but I do not consent to any searches." That sentence matters for two reasons. First, it shows cooperation. Second, it clearly preserves your objection if a search later becomes an issue in court. A lot of people think refusing consent automatically makes them look guilty. Legally, exercising your rights is not supposed to be treated as proof of guilt. Now, can an officer still search anyway under certain circumstances? Sometimes yes. Laws vary by state, and exceptions can apply depending on probable cause, officer safety concerns, visible evidence, or other facts. But verbally refusing consent may still become critically important later. The fifth item that creates problems is weapons paperwork and firearm storage mistakes. This is a huge one. Maybe you legally own a firearm. Maybe you even have a permit. But if documents are mixed together carelessly in the glove box, the officer may suddenly see ammunition, magazines, or firearm-related items before you ever explain what's happening. Now, tension increases immediately, especially if the officer believes a weapon may be accessible inside the vehicle. This is where sudden movements become dangerous. Never reach quickly into a glove compartment during a stop, ever. If you need documents from the glove box and there may be firearm-related items inside, communicate first. "Officer, my registration is in the glove box and there are firearm-related items inside. How would you like me to proceed?" That sentence protects everyone. It signals cooperation, it reduces surprise, and it lowers the chance the officer interprets your movement as a threat. Remember, roadside encounters can become dangerous because of misunderstanding and panic. Slow movements matter. Calm communication matters. The fifth and biggest mistake is consent itself. A lot of glove box searches happen because drivers unknowingly give permission. The officer says, "You mind if I take a quick look?" People panic. They think refusing will make them look guilty. So they say, "Sure, I guess." That one sentence can completely change the encounter, because now you may have voluntarily allowed a search that otherwise would have required legal justification. And once consent is given, arguing afterward usually does not help. This is why wording matters so much. If you do not want to consent, say it clearly and calmly. "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." Not aggressive, not emotional, not argumentative, just clear. And do not physically interfere. That is critical. If officers proceed anyway, do not resist physically on the roadside. Do not grab items. Do not block movements. Do not escalate. You challenge unlawful conduct later through legal channels, not during the stop itself. Another important point people misunderstand is plain view. If an officer legally observes something visible from outside the vehicle or during a lawful interaction, that observation may affect what happens next. For example, if you open the glove box voluntarily and illegal items are immediately visible, that can drastically change the situation. This is why organization matters more than people think. Loose items, open containers, random pill bottles, unsecured paperwork, all of it can create confusion and suspicion during a high-pressure encounter. And finally, understand this. Traffic stop laws vary by state and by circumstance. Some states require disclosure of firearms, some do not. Search rules also depend heavily on specific facts, court rulings, and local law. So this video is educational, not personal legal advice. But the safest framework stays remarkably consistent almost everywhere. Stay calm, keep your hands visible, move slowly, comply with lawful commands, do not volunteer unnecessary information, do not consent to searches if you do not want to. Ask calmly, "Am I being detained or am I free to go?" And if questioning becomes serious, "I want to remain silent and I want a lawyer." Because the goal during a roadside stop is not to win an argument, it's to get through the encounter safely while protecting your rights. And in the next video, we're breaking down the biggest mistake drivers make when officers say, "Step out of the vehicle." Most people think they can refuse. In many situations, that assumption can turn a routine stop into an arrest within seconds.